So we are here today with Tracy and Ollie. Nice to meet you, Tracy.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
And this is Ollie. And Ollie, what's the breed of Ollie?
Shih Tzu.
How old is he?
He is 22 months.
22 months, and how long have you had him?
5 days.
5 whole days.
Yes.
Alrighty. So one of the things that I was watching for is how he came out of the car, because that's very telling about the dog. Sometimes they'll come out of the car and they're nervous, they'll hide behind you, the tail is tucked. We'll go ahead and shorten that line. We want to keep him right up here so everybody can see how cute he is. But sometimes the dog's behavior will talk to you. Anytime you put a dog in a new place, you see what a lot of what about their genetics are, okay? And so sometimes if their tail is tucked, they're nervous already and scared of their environment, and then they have to kind of adjust to their environment. But he came out leading you out the way, tail is up a little bit. He's like owning it, right? That tells me he has some confidence genetically. Nothing that you've brought to the table, because we can help our dog's confidence, even though we can never change genetics. We can absolutely change their perception of environment and how they feel in that environment through our leadership. But when we don't know the backstory on a dog and we see them cowering or tucking their tail or being nervous, we think some other human must have abused you and made it that way. And I'm not saying that the dog was in the perfect environment or even got treated fairly, but if they're out of that environment, they're out of that environment and they live in the moment, right? And so people could look at him and I mean, so if you see that insecure behavior, a lot of people don't have the knowledge base to know it's just genetics. So then the human feels sorry for the dog. We treat him like a victim and we keep the dog in that trauma. Whereas the dog's been out of it now for 3 years. People will come and say, well, my dog was abused, that's why he's like that. How long have you had it? 5 years? Well, the last 5 years is his life. And he lives in the moment of today. So let's not see him as a victim, because no other animal, no other dog will see him as a victim. They live in the moment, right? Yeah. So with that being said, we have a little bit of backstory on your dog, recognizing he did not get what he needed. He was doing what no dog does, anything out of spite or anger or anything. They don't disobey. They're not disobedient. They're doing what the rules and boundaries set forth by the human allow. If the human does not know how to establish rules, boundaries, and discipline, then you're just going to have chaos and they're going to just try to survive within the thing. And so being in an apartment with 3 little children, yeah, I'm not surprised it didn't work out. So I'm glad he landed with you. So let's make him his best, because that's what we want to do. As far as housebreaking goes, you've had him since Monday. It is not uncommon to take a dog into a new environment. First of all, he has to learn the system and he has to learn where to go. Often, so definitely just housebreaking 101. We do want to block all behavior. If he's not has he pottied in the house any other time than trying to potty this morning in your home?
He did yesterday morning when I was in the shower.
Yep.
And I did not discover it until we got home.
Yeah.
And then he started to this morning.
Okay. So I would encourage you, if you ever see a dog pottying in the home and you didn't see him do it, there is nothing you can do about it. You cannot take a dog back to anything that he tore up or pottied or anything like that. Go back and show him, and then create pressure or discipline or correction or scold, because that's not the dog world. Humans should not do that. We do not verbally scold a dog. It makes them unsure. They don't get it. It's just not the dog talk, and it's not the way they understand. But they're out of the moment. You can never correct a dog for something out of the moment. You have to be like, okay, what do I need to do as the intellectual one to make sure this doesn't happen? So if you can't watch him right now, because he's learning what's acceptable, whether you realize it or not. So and dogs do what benefit them. So if he runs around the corner and potties, he feels better. So therefore, that worked for him. What's to stop him from doing that again? Number one, you have to block the behavior if you're not there. Blocking the behavior means I'm going to make sure it can't happen. You're either going to crate him, you'll take him into the bathroom with you and you'll shut the door, but you're going to make it so he can't sneak off into another room and relieve himself. So that's number one. We want to block unwanted behavior. And always, if he's going to be brought into the home, if you're going to be busy for, let's say, 45 minutes to an hour, and I have a dog that's not 100% trustworthy yet, then I'm going to make sure he's potty first. Give him the opportunity to go first. And you might have, but yet he's learning where to potty, and so therefore sometimes they don't relieve themselves even when you give the opportunity. So whether you gave the opportunity or not, if he doesn't potty, and you're like, okay, it's been 2 hours and I don't trust you yet, block the behavior, bring him in the bathroom, close the door, okay? Second of all, it is not uncommon for a dog, if they are not taught to potty on command, which I'm sure you're probably, so now when you take him out, so you had said something about when you're walking, he's just randomly peeing, right? Are you going for a long walk like in the neighborhood to do that? Okay, so
I'm doing it 2 ways. I have in the neighborhood, but then there's a tree. He likes trees and bushes. Well, I was taking him out front, and he was doing his drive-by peeing, as I call it.
Drive-by peeing.
And then he would finally do it a little bit, and then he would finally pee. So that's that.
Okay, he might just be marking. Is he neutered? He came out of a shelter, so he's neutered, right? Neutered. Okay, yeah. So he might just be marking. So first of all, what I would do, is he walking in front of you and he's just kind of peeing? Okay. I would fix the walk, number one, because that's a leadership thing, so we'll talk about that. Because he should be walking at your side. And I do know that there are people that live in an apartment, which you live in a home, correct? Okay, there are people who live in an apartment and they have to walk their dogs to potty their dogs. Rules, boundaries, and discipline, structure-wise, I would not have my dog just on a 1 mile walk, walking and relieving himself randomly. I would bring more structure to it.
Okay.
If you don't have a structured walk, sometimes certain behaviors are just going to be what they're going to be until the human has the right instruction and sometimes the right professional help to create what I'm about to talk about, okay? But I would walk him at my side so it's structured, because that's a leadership thing. I'm the leader and you're the follower. So if I'm going to walk a dog, I want them at my side with a loose line, following. But let's say you want to give him an opportunity to potty. I would start to teach him to potty on command, not potty randomly, okay? And so then, it's what we do with the service dogs. If we're walking them, especially we're in the store, we're wherever, of course they're at our side. Or just for a 2 mile walk, I want my dog at my side following, respectful mindset. But then I'm going to find a nice tree, because I know he likes trees, right? So I'm going to walk to the tree. Now they're out in front. Now they're maybe pulling. Go potty, walking around the trees, walking around the bushes. And I might give him 10 or 15 minutes, and I'm following because that's the purpose of that exercise. He relieves himself, and then he comes back to position. I bring him back to position, and now we're walking with structure back to the home. It is disrespectful for him to just randomly be peeing and marking right next to you or whatever, because when a dog is marking, they're owning that, they're owning that, they're owning that. You see one dog potty, and here comes more dominant, he's peeing right over the top of it, and then you got a pee circus, right? They're just coming and marking over the top of where another dog was. We're looking at instinct along that way. And it's behavior, and it's normal and natural, but I don't want him doing that next to me. Last thing I want is my dog pottying himself right next to me. Often when we would be traveling with service dogs, and we flew on a plane somewhere, now we're in this hotel, and we're out on the grass, it would take sometimes, even though we tell our dogs to potty on command, my Rottweiler knows how to potty on command, but being in a new environment, sometimes they don't potty the best, and they're not, and I mean, they might pee, but they don't, they don't poop necessarily until that's the spot, right? And it might take sometimes 2 or 3 days for us to get them to go potty there. And once they do, we can take them back to the same spot every time. So it doesn't surprise me that you tried to get him to finish going potty this morning because he peed but he didn't poop, and he started to go on your bed.
No,
right?
on the carpet.
On the carpet.
Yeah.
Okay, so that doesn't surprise me because he's still working it out. So your consistency will help.
Okay.
Where you go potty, but have a command. Go potty, and you stand there and just go potty. Don't interact any certain way or whatever. You're just calm, giving that structure, go potty. Take him back anytime you go out the same door, go out to the same place, and start and walk. And if you have a strip of grass, you're back and forth on that strip of grass. He tries to go somewhere else, nope, this here. And by the fact that he absolutely has to relieve himself, he'll go, and then he'll start to learn that's my spot. If you do take him out and he didn't go, let's say it's morning and he didn't go, and you're like, I know you've got to go, then don't give him free access to your house after.
Okay.
Don't give him because we know he has to go.
Okay.
So, and by the nature of enough time went by, or he just had to go, and so he started to go. If you catch him in the act, this is what I would do with his size. I would instantly, if you can, snatch him up, and it'd be like an abrupt, you're not scolding. Never do we, out of emotion and frustration, you're that, none of that, ever. It makes them unsure, it will make them not trust you, and they don't relate to that. What they relate to is a very calm and assertive leader. And so if he does start to potty, and he's a little one like that, I'm gonna do my best to snatch him up and be like, no, if I wanna do that, but something that's abrupt, that it would be a negative, and then I quickly get him right outside, put him where I want him. Now I'm smiling, go potty. I might still be annoyed that he pottied inside, but I'm gonna be like, positive outside, negative inside. I never wait for my dog to tell me, whether it's a puppy or an adult dog. I don't wait for them to tell me they have to go out. I'll have people call me and they'll say, well, he doesn't ever tell me. Take him out anyway. If you have, especially if you have multiple dogs, I have 3 dogs in my house, sometimes more right now. I potty them all at one time, so I know it's done. I can check that box, and then they all go in, and I know their needs are taken care of.
I take him out at a minimum at work every 2 hours, a minimum.
And I think that's a great place to start.
And that's just how I.
No, and I think that's a great place to start. If you have a puppy, you're going to do it maybe every 45 minutes to a half hour, depending on the age. The older they get, the longer they can hold their bladder. Okay. So anyway, I think that's a great plan. Take him out to the same spot, say the same words, always stay calm and assertive, give him appropriate time. And as a dog owner, you're going to start to learn his signs, because they will tell you, and you'll start to kind of learn when he has to go or when he's just done. All right. But if they didn't go potty and you know they haven't gone, then you want to block the behavior by making it so he does not have access to go potty anywhere else other than. And so you're going to either use a crate, close him into the bathroom like you did if it's a smaller room, or if you have to, let's say you're in a big open space, and I know that he got out of your harness when you did this, but tether him somewhere, like if you have a big office space, you're going to tether him on a 6-foot line so he has everything he needs right there, and you're right there, but it blocks him from going off, escaping out a door, or pottying on something, or marking, or whatever it might be. You would never tie a dog out on anything, in my opinion, less than a flat nylon collar or a harness. Other training equipment like a pinch collar or a Halti lead or anything like that, you would never tie a dog out. Something that is safe for them to be tethered to, and always with the human there. Okay?
So when I'm out of the office, do not leave. He has a crate at work.
Yes.
When I walk out of the office right now, should I be just putting him in the crate or leave him tethered?
So to answer that, I would look at the behavior of him when he's online. If a dog is just laying there and completely calm, then tethering, whether you're there or not, might be fine. But if he shows distress because you've left, he barks, I would absolutely crate him. Okay. And he got out of your harness. He ran, right?
He ran.
Okay. I would absolutely crate him. So for this dog, see, I could tether my Rottweiler, but he's 15. And he's just going to be like, be here when you get back.
Right.
But some dogs are not. When the human leaves, there's distress. Crating is the safest, best option. And then if he's barking in the crate, that's another thing to fix that we would deal with at another time.
Okay.
But yes, I would absolutely crate him.
Okay.
And that way he can't get himself hung up.
Right.
He's not ramping himself up with distress. My human is gone, barking. Because as long as he's barking, and then you come back, barking worked. Barking got you back. Not only is he protesting and frustrated and distressed, right, and demanding, but the minute you come back in, especially if you share affection, I don't know if you do, or you're fine, or whatever. Okay, good.
No, and I just walk in.
Yeah.
I knew that, not to show like, oh, hey.
Yeah.
I just walk in.
Good. And does he instantly stop?
Yeah, he looks at me like, hey. And then I wait a couple minutes. I'm like, hey, buddy, then I give him the little, what I mean.
Okay. So next time, if you do that, don't come back in and hey, buddy him. Even though it's not immediate.
Sit down after a couple minutes.
Okay, after a couple minutes.
Don't do it at all.
Well, this is the thing. You don't want affection tied to your entrance.
Okay.
So it's awesome. So affection is agreement. So if you did come in and share affection.
No, I do not.
Excellent, because you already learned that. Because you would have been agreeing with the barking, right? And a lot of people come back, hey, I'm fine. Don't ever do that. Yeah. Affection is agreement. And we do not want to imprint wrong behaviors. So that's excellent that you do that. The other thing would be if when you share affection, after coming back, waiting a few minutes when you do share affection, I would make sure that he is in a very calm, not looking to you at all for anything, and then I would share affection. You have to disagree with disrespect. So if he goes to jump on you, mouth you, demand, as a leader, you have to disagree with it. Well, if you're a dog, you'd bite him. If you're a dog, you'd bite him. And, well, God didn't give you teeth to bite a dog, right? So I've got to teach you. We have to use another part of our body in a way to disagree. Now, if you had him on a flat collar or a pinch collar, you could give a little leash correction.
Okay.
And so right here, I would encourage you to take all 4 fingers. Yeah, loosen your line a little bit. And then give him a touch on the ribs and say off the next time. So loosen your line. Just if you, there, now touch him. Off. Off. Nope. Uh-huh. Now we have some aggression. He's like, who do you think you are to tell me to stay off? Got it? And he hasn't stopped looking. See the stance? See the tail up?
Yeah.
So we have some work to do. It does, and you know what? This has worked for him. Have you seen that before? Okay, let me ask you a question.
We're playing with a toy.
Okay, so if you feel comfortable the next time he jumps on you, I want you to do that, and we'll see if we get the same response.
Okay.
And I'm going to touch the side of your arm, okay? That is what I did.
Okay.
That would be your nip as a human.
On his ribs.
Yep, just touch him in the side and give him that touch.
Okay.
Right now, this is the thing. When a dog is frustrated or stressed or whatever it is, there's no frustration or stress here. He's just like, you don't have a right to tell me what to do. That is exactly what he just did. Okay? That gives us some, you know what? It's always worked for him. It doesn't mean he's a bad dog. It means he needs to know his place. Do it again. Harder. Tell him off.
Off.
Do it like you mean it. Good. Now his tail was down when you did it. If we notice that you did it, now the next time, and I know you're learning what it feels like, and you'll learn what level of stimulation does my dog need. And you never do it from a place of frustration or anxiousness or anything like that, okay? So when you go to touch, you want to be firm, but every dog is different. You know, he's little, so what you did was appropriate, but it took 4 or 5 times, right? Whereas, but then when he did get off of you, his tail was down and he was respectful because he has a relationship with you.
Okay.
So you carry more weight than I do. When I did it, he's like, I got the look. That's why you don't want the other people in your office doing it. Is because he might come back at them with you, but you can control that. So for today's rough recap, first of all, I want to make sure you know that this was number 1 of a 3-lesson series that we did with Tracy and Ollie, covering all the stuff that they needed to know as he was bringing Ollie into their home. But for today's lesson, when you're housebreaking your dog, always make sure that you are being very clear about what the expectation is in the new environment and that you are setting the dog up for success as you are integrating him into your new home. Second of all, you've got to make sure that you're establishing respect in your space. As you saw in today's lesson, sometimes it can be brought back with a little bit of protest, but it's absolutely necessary to establish it for a good, healthy life for you and the dog in your home. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Till the next lesson, we just thank you so much for listening. We hope you gained some value. And again, your dog will never be what you want him to be until you're the leader they need you to be. And we just thank you for your time, and we'll see you next time.